And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. And boom. So, Caoimhin, what is the crack? How are you keeping?
Great. Feeling great. Enjoying life. Weather's fantastic.
It sure is. If anybody's watching this back, maybe at a later point, we are mid-heat wave at the minute, so it is definitely making life that little bit easier, getting that vitamin D in. So, Caoimhin, you're here on today's podcast because you are obviously a Fine Fit member. You've been smashing it just for a couple of years now. I think it was September 2019 when you first signed up.
It's 2 years. It'll be coming up 2 years soon enough, yeah.
Wow, happy days. So let's kind of bring it right back. But before we get into kind of the Fine Fit journey in terms of health and fitness, just for anybody who maybe doesn't know you, kind of who is Caoimhin and what are you all about?
I'm a 52-year-old stay-at-home dad these days. My health and fitness journey, I was thinking about this. It's been like a hop-on, hop-off bus over the years.
Yeah.
I'd say little enough interest up until my early 40s.
Cool.
Then did a bit here, did a bit there, but never stuck with anything in particular.
Yeah.
2014, I was living in Inverness at the time, and there's a guy called John Fox who started something called Fit for Life. It was a bit like Operation Transformation type thing in January that year.
Deadly.
And I my wife said to me, why don't you go try the running? You might like that. So went to this kind of group run. It was a 5K. I was able to finish it, so my baseline fitness was all right. Like I could run a 5K without stopping, but it was slow enough. I was pretty knackered after it. It was about 28 minutes maybe.
Okay.
And then there were other things they did, like boot camp classes and stuff like that for about 6 weeks. And it led up to the Fitzer 5K, which was my first ever 5K run.
Class.
So I did that I remember, it's one of the few times I remember, it was just over 24 minutes, and I was absolutely wrecked after it. I say it took about 2 days to recover from. And then, so that kind of got me into running to a certain extent.
Yeah. And
I stuck with it for about 2 years. So 2015, I was doing 21.5-minute 5Ks. I did it 46 and a bit plus 10K.
Good going.
And so that was going well that year. And then next year, I started getting injuries. I'd get back spasms every so often. Or one time I was just leaning down to pick something off the ground and I sneezed. And that was I was bent over double. I couldn't stand up straight for nearly a week.
Wow.
So,
what do you find that was? I think that was just obviously kind of running kind of as obviously a repetitive motion, just kind of too much of the one thing.
It's not a kind of a balanced fitness, I'd say.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave you that strong, and I think you're prone to getting injured if you keep that. Because I was going up to 4 times a week, I'd say, at the time. I do like my long run would be around 9K, and I would do I was doing park runs at the time. And I would do them sort of at a tempo thing where I'd go really fast for a kilometer and then kind of ease back for another one and then kind of alternate it.
Yeah.
But that helped get my speed up though, doing that. But I think it left you kind of unbalanced, a bit prone to injury.
Yeah.
So,
and just to kind of slight segue on that is of just when you were doing the run, did you have any sort of kind of I know you like yoga and stuff now. Did you have any sort of kind of mobility or flexibility practice as part of your
I didn't know anything about that at the time. Really didn't. It's quite ignorant at the time about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And just like most of us do, just running cold, just leaving the front door and just starting to run, no warm up, no stretching.
Before that, I would have been totally alert to the idea of running in the winter. I mean, I was happy enough to go in the summer. I actually love running in warm weather when I'm away in France, whatever.
Class.
Nothing I like better, but I never had any gear for running in cold weather. Never even thought it was a thing to do.
Yeah.
So that changed my mindset in those days anyway, about getting the tights and the zippy tops and the jacket, the high-vis jacket, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But,
and And then to kind of bring us then, so you'd kind of been dabbling in fitness, kind of predominantly kind of running, tried a couple of boot camps. Then kind of we come up to say 2019, kind of when you kind of started your journey with ourselves. Kind of where were you at that point, and in terms of maybe kind of physically, mentally, what was it that kind of spurred you on to sign up?
That was a hard year. There were various things that happened earlier that year, and so I was totally lost focus with health and fitness at the time. I remember we were in summer holidays in France that summer. I think we were there for 3 weeks. I think I went for a run maybe once during the whole 3 weeks. Just wasn't in the mood for it or something, and I had stopped exercising, and I put on a fair bit of weight. And I've never gained loads of weight, but I was maybe 95 kilos, which is about 6 more than I am now. Yeah. I'm 6'3", so I can kind of carry it a bit and get away with it to a certain extent. Yeah. But it was definitely close to my heaviest at that stage. And I wasn't quite your typical fight and fit client in that I didn't have loads of weight to lose, and I wasn't totally unfit to begin with. Although I had lost a lot of my baseline fitness at that stage. But my wife got me booked me a set of yoga classes. And so I went to that, and I liked the vibe. And then that led to joining up as a member. And then I remember the first class I did, I was in the red zone nearly straight away, the heart rate and stayed in the red all the way through, because fitness was just gone, I'd say, at that stage. It took no effort at all to get my heart rate way sky high. And so I just really liked the vibe, and got into it there, and we're still here.
So as you said, because your kind of thing wasn't necessarily coming in kind of looking to lose a lot of weight. You did lose a lot of weight in, say, your first cycle with us, or your first maybe 2 cycles with us. You did lose over a stone, I think, anyway. Yeah,
the first I lost the first, let's say, 3 kilos pretty easily, and then it's kind of a gradual thing for the next lot. And by this time last year, I was down to about 87-ish. 80. That was my target, was kind of 87 to 88. I think I'm about nearly 2 kilos heavier now than I was then. Yeah. But the way, judging by progress pics and that kind of stuff, I'd say it's more muscle than
100%. 100%. I was looking at your stuff again in preparation for this, and definitely a perfect candidate to kind of really emphasize how important it is to take the progress photos, because as I said, although your weight, and again, your weight has changed, I think it was about 4 kilograms as of today from when you very first started. With the progress photos, there's a massive difference, and this is kind of this shift from maybe doing just cardio based training to changing and doing more, a little bit of HIIT, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of running, just more of a, say, a CrossFit approach, or more of a functional fitness approach, where you're doing a little bit of everything. We don't want to be pigeonhole ourselves in the sense where we're really good at one thing. We want to be able to lift weights, we want to be able to squat, we want to be able to deadlift, we want to be able to run, we want to be able to jump, we want to be able to punch, we want to be able to do a little bit of everything. That's kind of what I feel like keeps the journey fun, and kind of so you're not just stuck doing the same thing over and over again. That kind of gets quite boring after a while.
It does, because the variety keeps you interested and keeps you motivated the way through this. Well, one thing I've really learned from Fine Fit is consistency, and that's kind of what it's kind of a conscious decision to do. I was doing 4 workouts a week. I kind of stuck to that as much as possible, and on a good week, 3 runs a week. Very often be less, but that's going to be ideal anyway. And stuck through it no matter what. Kind of, even if most days I do enjoy it, and I do feel like I feel up for it, and sometimes you don't. You're a bit tired, or you're a bit. One thing I'd say is, I wouldn't recommend doing a boxing class you're hungover, because I did that. And every punch just vibrated right through my head. Not recommend that anyway. And what is your, because often you do a little bit, what is your kind of your favorite type of workout of Fine Fit? Probably the weights now. This stage, kind of the overhead press or squat. Actually, I used to hate squatting, up to fairly recent. But I think the yoga's helped the squat. It helps your flexibility. I can hold a 5-minute squat now, and I wouldn't have been able to do that before. And I hated getting down that far and just staying there. And now it's fine. I wouldn't even thought of doing that before.
Because what happens is I feel like, and again, I'm guilty of this, especially myself, because obviously we've got the level method, and we'll talk about that again. Like flexibility is one of the things that's really kind of holding me back from moving up the ranks. But that is something that is so important. Like we tend to trap ourselves in a certain range of motion, and we live life in these certain planes and doing these certain movements. Whereas yoga just really force you outside of that comfort zone and force you to take up more space and to be more mobile and be more flexible. Which is very, very good. And even just as you touched there on consistency, again, checking your profile, I've seen that you've well over 200 workouts logged with us. Because we've slightly changed the.
I haven't logged. We're not able to log them on the app now in the last few weeks.
But so you must be approaching 250 workouts, which is fantastic. And kind of consistency's been fantastic, and you definitely were one of the ones that I think I would say thrived over the. Obviously, listen, we all would have loved to be in person. That's just kind of the situation. But you definitely did thrive kind of doing the online stuff with the flexibility. How did you find that? How did you find that whole period?
Well, I don't know. I've nothing enough to complain about. I mean, I'm fairly privileged. I don't have major worries, and the kids not being at school was the worst thing for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got into the habit of doing the Facebook workouts in the first lockdown.
Yeah.
And I remember the weather was good. I was doing them outdoors a lot of the time. I was just body weights, but actually the change just doing body weights was good at the time. I didn't mind it. It felt good. It was a good kind of thing to change up things a bit. Yeah. And then as the lockdown dragged on, I bought some kettlebells online because that was all I could get, I think, at the time.
Yeah. So dumbbells were like gold dust.
Yeah, they were at the time. Even the second lockdown, I was lucky to get a pair. The second lockdown, I got a pair of 22k dumbbells. And I had an old set from years ago, kind of adjustable ones that you get up to about 10 or 12 or something on them.
Okay.
So between that, they kind of did the job of doing the weighted workouts. And so I was doing the YouTube ones then. The second lockdown, you did loads of new YouTube workouts.
Yes.
And they were great, actually. And they kept me going through the whole thing. I was doing them pretty much 4 days a week anyway.
Good stuff. And there was also a couple of kind of push-up challenges and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was right. That was this year. Yeah, the push-up. There was the running challenge, getting out. Was it 100 and something, 160k in January?
Yeah.
The weather. I remember the weather in January was awful, and it was cold and frost. There was one run I did where I just pictured where you could go on grass verges the whole time, just to get out because it was so icy. And but actually, you wouldn't have got out in that weather if you hadn't had a challenge or a reason to do it. Like it kind of helped get you out. And I got way more mileage in January than I normally would from the challenge. And then there was the 500 miles walk or run.
Yes. The Proclaimer challenge.
In teams. Yeah, that was good as well. That really got me going in March, April time.
Yes, hopefully actually might luck to doing something like that again. There really is something about kind of being part of a team and being accountable to a team of people, whereas a lot of the time you might kind of let it slide if you're doing something on your own, but if you know there's other people depending on you, you're kind of more incentivized to get up off your arse and get out and contribute to the team.
Somebody would post they'd done it, so God, I don't let the team down. I remember the first day I didn't go out at all. It was an awful, was that the May bank holiday Monday? I think the weather was desperate.
Yeah.
Worst of the year. And so I didn't go out at all. And then I felt I'd let the team down, so I kind of had to make up for the rest of the week.
And then this is what it's all about, looking for all these kind of little novel ways to kind of create leverage through maybe challenges or accountability or something to like give you that extra bit of incentive and that extra bit of a push to kind of get out and do it on the days that you really couldn't be arsed, to be honest, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And I kind of, something that we try and do, obviously, I find Finn kind of one of our kind of USPs or kind of one of our unique selling points really is kind of the one-on-one relationship we try and get every member to kind of cultivate with a coach in terms of kind of always having goals, kind of having check-ins and someone to answer to and making sure I'm always working towards something, because if we're just kind of training for the sake of training, it can become quite boring, very quickly. What do you find the experience of having a coach is like, and do you find that helps you stay accountable?
It makes you think about stuff. It take things more seriously, and it keeps you more focused. Like accountability story, I was focused on getting a faster 5K last year to get to 23 minutes again.
Yeah.
And I was kind of building towards it, and I said to Chris, I'll do it this Sunday. And day dragged on, things were going on, and I kind of, it was 7 o'clock in the evening. I was kind of feeling, I'm sure I won't bother today. I'll do it tomorrow or something. I got this message from Chris, how did your run go? So I said, I better go out and do it. So,
Yeah.
And I did, and I got in just 23 exactly, or maybe just over, just under, so I was happy to message back, yes, I did it. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for kind of getting the message. I wouldn't have done it that day. I wouldn't have got that 23-minute flight, because I don't normally. And they say you're supposed to run easy, run light. Most of your running is supposed to get easy. So I've taken that to heart. And I rarely kind of really push myself at a fast 5K.
Yeah.
Because last year there were no races, no events as such to even park runs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of kept me on track that way.
So the combination of obviously setting that goal, Chris, and kind of making that commitment, and then obviously then the follow up, and somebody, that somebody's going to check in and ask, and you kind of how's it going, kind of it really helps.
And same this year, there was the Dundalk virtual 10K, so I committed to getting a 52-minute
class.
And I thought it was achievable. I thought it was achievable, and when I did, I really pushed myself. I was way out of my comfort zone. I did it in the time, so I was happy with that. So I have done them in the past, but it's been a while ago. I think age does eventually catch up.
Yeah. That is one of the sad realities of life over time. But again, it really is, the body also does work off the principle of use it or lose it. Like, age isn't necessarily.
Yeah, it's very true. I can honestly say I'm in better shape now than I was at 42 or maybe even 32. I wasn't in the mindset for it at all in those days. So it's fun. And kind of what, just kind of to keep going on that kind of mindset shift, what do you kind of feel like has been the biggest mindset shift for you, say, over the past couple of years, say, since you joined Fine Fed, or even maybe there was like something that happened, or was there an event that caused that? I think it was being away on holidays in 2010 and deciding I didn't really like how I looked at the time, and feeling kind of tired and a bit irritable a lot of the time as well. I thought, I want to kind of make some changes, maybe. Yeah. And try to.
Because for a lot of people, like that kind of place, and I don't necessarily want to say rock bottom, but that kind of place of discomfort, like people could really, I feel, better utilize that feeling and kind of put it towards something more productive in terms of use these negative emotions as a catalyst for change. Because these negative emotions are our body, like pain. Pain is your body telling you that something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So kind of like the emotional pain, I feel, is very, very similar. So if you're kind of having this kind of constant story in your mind, or this constant dissatisfaction, I feel it's easier to make the changes than to suffer the constant dread and misery of kind of living the same life.
You actually spend more time if you're thinking about going forward, or thinking about starting exercise again or something. And when you actually start doing it, you actually enjoy it, and you remember you enjoy it, and it keeps going. And then it's try not to get distracted by events or something, or things that happen in your life or family or whatever, and kind of trying to say, right, you just keep sticking with it and keep at it.
And it's really just trying to get this most
distracted.
Because that really is the most difficult part. And I'm going to kind of have to come back from a holiday there as well, a couple of days off with friends and stuff, and just really trying to find that balance between, like not always going, not letting the wheels fall off the wagon all the time. And it's like, and fair enough, I feel like life for me anyway kind of comes in seasons. I've kind of got seasons where, like, say, like, work is the main priority, and other seasons kind of family and stuff. Like, you're always trying to battle, you're always trying to manage. For me, it's like, career, wealth, self, relationships. These are kind of the 4 areas that I try and set goals in. But then the key piece is that we don't neglect any one for too long. Whereas I feel like a lot of times we will neglect our health, and I'm guilty of this too. Whereas kind of I feel like my business and all these other goals, I can relate them to other people, so it's much easier to do things for others than it is to do them for ourselves. A lot of the time, I find.
That's true. I think that you're talking about, you need to fill your own. I call it finding your inner selfish gift.
100%.
Because you kind of, especially that year of 2019, I found I was just letting things happen, or letting the other people take priority and stuff. I really did kind of just go with the flow and stuff, and go along with what other people want. Pretty much all the time, I kind of left whatever, kind of put my priorities completely to one side for nearly the whole year. And decided I couldn't go on forever like that.
Yeah, and it's not good. And we kind of feel like it's selfish, because obviously we deal with a lot of kind of mammies as well, and I feel they're probably the most guilty of this kind of constant need to put everybody ahead of themselves. Like they wouldn't like, you know, in terms of, like, they wouldn't even invest in themselves or get the help they need or all of this stuff, because they feel like they have to put everybody else first. But if you really kind of shift the thinking around it, it's like, when you fill up your own cup first, as you said, you really do have more to give other people to get you at your best, instead of always getting you at your worst. You know, getting you when you're full of confidence and energy.
Your better mindset, better mood, better. You're not irritable as such. But it's definitely it does work. It does work.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily for fighting fit to claim credit. Like, this is just like exercise in general. The key is, like, find something you like to do. Like, if you constantly need motivated to go to the gym, you're probably not doing the right workout program. You know what I mean? Because maybe it's just not the kind of thing that you like. Obviously, listen, there's obviously discomfort involved when you're kind of stretching your comfort zone and you're trying to lift heavy weights and this kind of stuff. But you should really enjoy that process most of the time. Not all of the time. Some days you just have to show up and do the work, and just to kind of keep the habit, keep the routine going. But for other things, it's like, say for me, like for football, like you never have to motivate me to go play football. You know what I mean? Because it's just great. It's just good crack, and I'm having the crack with the lads and that kind of stuff. Whereas, say, like, for example, it's like, if I like to go running every day, my training regime would say 10Ks, it's like, you know, after a while I get pretty bored of that. Whereas, like yourself, every once in a while, maybe once or twice a year, I might run a 10K, or maybe do a train for a half marathon or something like that, just to kind of mix things up and make things a little more novel. But enjoying what you do is the key piece. And that kind of would segue us then into the level method program, which is the kind of the newest addition to the Fight and Fit program since you moved into the new facility. And I can see yourself, again, checking your profile, that you are black belt in running and rowing. I think you're purple in kettlebells and kind of a lot of kind of blues and oranges and stuff like that. How did you find the whole level method experience? Kind of what did it really teach you about where you're at, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and kind of motivate you to...
Really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. It's doing the class on the Sundays at the time. But I realised that kind of lower body is probably weaker than upper body. That was kind of more orange in the front squats, the deadlifts, and I'm quite nervous about doing heavy deadlifts with my back. But I was actually surprised how heavy I could lift without it.
Yeah,
I was able to do it.
Yeah.
Because I ended up weighing, I'd say, 20 kilos more than I thought I'd be able to. So I was pleasantly surprised with the deadlifts. And the other thing that is the skip. Yeah, I see. I think it was Michelle. I didn't know what a double under was until about 2 months ago, maybe. But I realized there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do one of those. And now I can do one and then alternate for maybe 3, and then I could trip myself up. So it's something you can. It takes a lot of practice. I think that's the key. I find myself totally out of breath after doing a few minutes of it as well. It's quite hard. Skipping is a fantastic exercise. Like, you know, in terms of kind of investment, like, you only need a rope. You can get a rope for 5, 6. Well, it depends on what you want to do. Buy ropes for €50 if you want to, but a decent rope might only cost you $5. Great piece of cardio. The kind of the category in the level method we have is always called neurological and core. This kind of neurological is essentially, it's kind of your ability to coordinate your upper and lower body and kind of get them working together. So like, you really are doing a lot. Obviously, it's quite demanding from a cardio perspective. It is, but also concentration. There's kind of a skill to it, and there's concentration. There's kind of all sorts of aspects to it. Yeah. Exactly. So in terms of like a nice kind of well-rounded kind of form of cardio that kind of is going to improve kind of athletic performance, it is pretty cool. And that's kind of the concept behind the level method. Like, we really do want it to be much more about functional fitness. You know, kind of a lot of people get into fitness, I think, purely for aesthetics, which again is fine. You know, everyone's kind of goals are different, and usually starting off, most people are concerned with aesthetics. It's like, right, usually, because again, during that place where, you know, I'm actually not that happy with how I look. So like, that's the most important thing for them to change first. And once we help them do that, because again, a lot of people start off with us because they're looking to drop a little bit of weight and kind of change their body composition. But then the level method for us will hopefully help us keep people engaged much longer, because now they realize that there's this whole new world of fitness now has opened up to me. There's so much progression to get through now, and you want to go to. I'm very close to blue, I think. Brandon told me this morning I can still have 2 oranges and be a blue. Yeah, you'll get a 2-stripe. You get a 2-stripe bump on your weakest, and that'll kind of nudge your score up a little bit. So I think I'm orange in 4 areas now. I was orange in about 8 areas not that long ago. So I've kind of made nice little progressions now. all the way through certain areas, and it's nice to see, and it's nice to follow and go back and look. Oh yeah, I could do that, and now I can do this, and
I'm sorry, what is the areas of weakness? What are you looking to improve? Can you remember?
The front squat would be one, the double unders, and the deadlift. Those would be the three
Nice,
main.
Okay, yeah. Because I said even just from your training base, like you're kind of more kind of cardio based, and that's kind of why you're black belt in running and rowing, because they're kind of cardiovascular. But in terms of maybe the more ones that we call, say, absolute strength, which would be the front squat and the deadlift mainly. They're the ones. And again, the weights are pretty heavy. Like the standards, the standards high.
They're quite even to get like to blues up. They're pretty heavy deadlifts now. I've ever lifted before.
Yeah, but the key, what I would say, and again, anybody listening to this that is doing the level method as well, just take your time, like really take the time to build the foundations, as you said. Like it's stuff like this as well. It's one of the hardest things for us and the coaches in terms of kind of implementing this new system, is like trying to manage people's egos in the sense that, like, don't push yourself too hard too early, because you will hurt yourself. Like you really do. If you haven't done heavy deadlifts before, you really don't want to be trying to do like a 1 rep max. You know what I mean? Stick within the 8 rep range, and even kind of once you get a PB, stick with that PB until you perfect the PB over, say, a couple of weeks, even a couple of months, and really build that base. And then that base, that foundation, that will give you the ability to then leapfrog on to the next level, the next level. Yeah. But otherwise, if you go too fast too early and you get a bit of a tweak and a bit of an injury, you're 3 steps back, 1 step forward, and kind of this.
You don't want to be doing that. So, that's not the idea at all.
And the front squat is pretty difficult as well. Like that in terms of just.
I've never done those before. I've done rear, the traditional kind of rear
back squat,
back squats, but I've never done front. It's very different kind of sensation and It's
purely front loaded in the sense that it's all about the quads. But the key about it is, and this is the thing I feel that makes it the hardest, is if your mobility isn't good, like if you can't get the elbows up, if you don't have the lat mobility, the shoulder mobility, the wrist mobility to get up into that position, because the way it's front loaded, just kind of pulls you forward, and it kind of you would drop weight. You're just not in a mechanically advantaged position, even the kind of ankle mobility and stuff like that. So it is a great squat. Most people can lift a lot heavier with the back squat, and that's why a lot of people tend to focus on that one. But the front squat is, again, it's a much more athletic squat, I find. It kind of just really, again, flexibility and the front squat are the two things that are.
The yoga would come in and hand you for the shoulder mobility and the flexibility for the.
Yes.
I also want to quite hard on your wrists now. My wrists wouldn't be the strongest, let's say.
Yeah.
Overall, and I can definitely feel it in the wrists when you're in that kind of bent back position. So.
Yeah, and hopefully we get I was talking to Ash on that as well recently. So hopefully we're going to get some yoga, and Chris, and hopefully get some yoga classes up and running in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, kind of with COVID, everything's a little bit all over the place. But fingers crossed, we might be near the end of it. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. So for yourself, Caoimhin, like what's the next step? Like what's kind of going to keep you motivated over the next little while? So getting these levels up, kind of body composition is then checking your pictures. You're looking pretty ripped. I think it was Brandon called you an Adonis. The other day, he said, like, even like you're like the quiet man, the kind of softly spoken, but you're definitely a bit of a beast in the gym. So what is next for Caoimhin?
I'd like to progress the level method. Definitely. I want to get the blue and then progress through the blues, because that'll be quite a challenge in itself, just to get through from blue up to blue 3 and then on there. And the strength, especially the strength stuff, for like the ring dips and that kind of stuff. That's one, for the pull-ups. I'd say I have been able to do pull-ups, like 8 pull-ups before in the past, but not recently. So I'd like to get back to that again. The other thing, I'd like to run a fast 5K, but there's no event. I thought the Dromiskin 5K might be on this year, but I'm going to be on again, and very frustrating when there's no events to focus on for. There's
nothing on the calendar so far. And I think they've already cancelled the Dublin Marathon as well, so that kind of doesn't really bode well for kind of what people at the top are thinking.
Very premature decision, but sure.
But listen, fingers crossed. Again, we'll keep working away. We'll keep doing our best. Even for yourself, thanks for all your kind of support and commitment over the last couple of years. Like, it has been a genuine pleasure. People to show up and do the work and are consistent, makes our job a lot easier.
Consistency is a big thing, really is.
Yeah. So kind of before we go, if anybody is kind of where you were maybe in 2019 before you kind of started off, what advice would you give to them, or kind of what was the biggest lesson you've learned that could maybe hopefully help them get to where you are now a little bit faster, a little bit easier?
I would say trust the process because it works, and take a longer term view. Don't take like a 3-week or a 6-week view. Take more of a 6-month type. Think of it as 6 months commitment or something to get in, build a habit, stick with it. You will see changes. The other thing I'd say is with the nutrition, make sure you're eating enough protein. That's one thing I was totally unaware of before I started.
Yeah.
I'd never gone into counting calories or doing macros, and I realized I was eating, I'd say, maybe half the amount of protein I was supposed to be eating for years. That's made a huge difference to me as well.
Yeah.
So watch the protein intake and take a kind of a longer term view.
Yeah, amazing.
That's
Amazing.
2 things to take from it.
Cool, yeah, and so totally right again. The protein again, because remember, people forget, like in the gym, we're beating our body up, we're creating micro tears in the muscles. So that's why we get DOMs in the muscular source. So we got to give our body the amino acids, the building blocks, so that we're actually growing back bigger and stronger and actually getting the benefit of the workout. Otherwise, we're just beating ourselves up, not rest, not recover, not sleeping, and just this we're just adding stress on top of stress. So kind of rest, recovery, and good nutrition is going to be key. So
I find I sleep much better now when I'm exercising, and if I feel nice and tired at the end of the day, then it kind of helps with the sleeping big time.
Yeah, and sleep is another one that's, especially for people who kind of are maybe more, but recovery in general, it's super important. Sleep is just super important. It's literally one of the most, one of the healthiest things you can do is just making sure you're getting enough sleep. Your body heals when you're sleeping, but just really making sure people try and prioritize that as part of just the overall kind of wellness journey. Because I think it's one in a busy world and with phones and laptops and computers and TVs in the bedroom and stuff like that, I feel like it's something that everybody struggles with. But if you're not sleeping, your body's going to be stressed out. Your body's not going to perform well. It's not going to burn fat well.
Leave the mobile phone downstairs. Don't take it to your bedroom. That's one thing I changed in my life about 7 years ago, maybe. I used to stop because I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd start messing with the phone. Wait for hours. You'd wake up reps the next morning. So I've totally stopped doing that. And that definitely is worth doing. Leave the phone downstairs.
Amazing. Well, listen, Caoimhin, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we'll have you on in another couple of years and kind of we'll be talking about all the cool stuff you've achieved between now and then. You might be a black belt in the 11 method by then. And sure, I'll see you around the gym.
Okay. Cheers, Stephen. Thanks very much.